Unemployed? Fired? If not now, someday you will be. According to a recent survey of the workforce, 40% of those in today's workforce will be fired.
Although I wish I were here with better news. The fact is that you and I are sitting here today because this will be your last week of employment at this company.
And if you're thinking, whoa, that's them, that's not me. I'm one of the best employees. I'm one of the people that the business depends on. I'm invaluable. Have you ever been told you are invaluable? If you have, you've probably believed it, because we want to believe things like that.
You have a lot of gall coming in here and firing your number one producer, and then you're going to go home tomorrow and make more money than you've ever made in your life, and I'm going to go home without a paycheck.
Why me?
What am I supposed to do now?
Am I supposed to feel better that I'm not the only one losing my job?
This is ridiculous.
And if you work for over 30, 35 years, the chances of your being fired over that course of time is, closer to 90%, which means that it's better to get ready to get fired than it is just to get fired and have no clue and no opportunity to do anything with your life, or be desperate, or maybe homeless.
How you sleep at night, man? Huh? How's your family? They sleeping well at night? Electricity still on? Heat still on? Refrigerator full of food? Gas tank full of gas? Going Chuck E. Cheese this weekend or something? Not me. No, my kids, we're not going to do anything.
And if you get ready to get fired, and it never happens to you, congratulations, you'll be better off financially and personally than over 90% of the people working today. To be in that 10% means you will be special. And I don't know about you, but I want to be special in that 10%. So let's take a look at what it means to get fired today, what we can do about it, how we can prepare for it, what we can learn from it, and so let's tap the like button and get into it. Hi, I'm James Callahan, and this is The Do-Over Show, and I can tell you, I'll admit it, I've been fired a couple times in my career. Now, some of the times it's just been ghosted, that is, I've not been asked back to a temporary job, like working as an adjunct. There are no guarantees, there's no expectation of a future. You get one contract, you fulfill the contract, and they say, thank you very much, there's the door, don't let it hit you on the way out.
Well, anybody who ever built an empire or changed the world sat where you are right now. And it's because they sat there, they were able to do it. That's the truth.
That recent survey I mentioned tells a clear story. Here are the numbers. More than 30% of 26 to 30-year-olds have been fired. 37% of 41 to 45-year-olds have been fired at least once. And 50% of 61 to 65-year-olds admit to being let go. And these numbers, quite frankly, they make sense, not just in light of the pandemic and layoffs back in 2020, but also this year in light of the layoffs in tech and from larger companies with a slowing economy and a recession right around the corner.
Well, I don't have a lot of hope, and I really don't know when it's going to get better. There's a lot of people unemployed, and I really don't know when there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel.
And yes, it's expensive for businesses to fire people, which is why most smart business owners, most HR departments want to retain, and they'll work with employees, even ones that are struggling to exceed expectations. But they're still ready to fire you because they're going to cut their losses. So we're not going to be able to use that leverage about, well, I'm more expensive to replace than I am to retain, because businesses, they don't work that way. They don't have to work that way because in that sense, it's their market. And did you ever notice that when people get fired, it's always the worst time for them personally to get fired? Now, if you're in an industry that's experiencing a downturn or an economy in a geographic area that's troubled, yes, it's the worst time because the job that you just lost probably doesn't exist at another business because everybody else is cutting back too. And how come we never get fired when we're flush with cash and we have 3, 6, 12 months of savings all set to go? Because we tend to overspend because of our sense of security, whether it's justified or not, instead of being prepared for what's probably going to happen to you at least one time in your long and illustrious working career of being an invaluable employee. So let's get ready to get fired, even if it never happens to us, even if that means we're just better off than everyone else, even if it means that we're able to do a job, retain a job, keep a job in an industry that continues to utilize our skills and that we add value to. Congratulations on being in that position. But let's get set in case the inevitable happens, because surprise, the inevitable always happens. The first thing we need to do is continually update our resume on a regular basis. Whether you use your annual review, your mid-year review, your individual development plan, whatever it is that you use in your current role, when you get that opportunity to take some time and look at your resume, look at your job performance, look at the work that you've done over the past 3, 6, 9 months, that's the time that you then go to your resume. But for over 95% of us, when's the last time you actually revised and updated your resume? Yeah, you did it when you were looking for a job, when you had to do it. The smart thing is to continually update your resume with new information, with new responsibilities, with advancement, not just title changes, but the opportunity to project, to show that you've done this project, completed this, that you've added it to your list of accomplishments, because resumes that show progressive increase in responsibility and accomplishments are the kind of resumes that employers will look at and say, yeah, I want to hire that person. The next thing to do is start saving money for that inevitable you're fired moment. The best advice out there is to save 3 months, at least 3 months of your expenses. Look at the last 3 months. How much did you actually pay out to live? Food, accommodations, rent, mortgage, insurance, everything, anything. Just put it all together and come up with what your 3 months will be. And that's your first goal. It's doable. You need to put aside the money so that when it happens, even if it doesn't, you have 3 months. The goal, ideally, is 6 months. Why? Because it takes 3 to 6 months on average in today's job market to come up with a mid-level management replacement job for the one we just got fired in. And one rule of thumb recruiters will use, especially for upper management or C-suite jobs, is that it takes 1 month for every $10,000 in compensation you're receiving or you're looking for. So if you're making $100K, then you should plan on 10 months of a good job search, a full-time job kind of job search. And a strong job search is a full-time job. It will take you 10 months to replace a job that earned you $100,000. If you're lucky enough to double that, you're more than a year and a half between jobs. Now, the upside to being a higher paid employee is that your dismissal, your being fired, usually takes longer because they've invested so much and there's a lot of reputation on the line for the business or company, that they've put you in a position of authority that others have report to you. They're not going to simply cut you off unless they do a wholesale elimination of a department. They cut back, they eliminate it because they're going to do layoffs, because they're going to increase their runway, because their investors say, stop spending so much money on labor. And that happens all the time. And that means that even those high-earning employees, even those upper management employees, that means that they're looking for jobs just as much as the person who goes from no experience necessary job to no experience necessary job is looking for employment in today's market. And even with employment under 4% and almost 2 job openings for every single one of us who will be looking for a job, it is still a difficult time to find a job. Why? Because a lot of the job openings, about a third, are a no-skills job. If you have skills, that narrows the field, and that means fewer jobs. And the more you get paid and the more specialized your skills are, or the higher your graduate level education is, the even narrower number of jobs are available to you. Now, I've got a question for you, the next topic. Is it easier to find a job when you already have a job or after you get fired? Go ahead, give the honest answer. Yeah, it's much easier to find a job when you have a job. So even if your job today is horrible and the person you report to is horrible and you just can't stand it anymore, don't quit. Don't quit your job until you've got another job. Yes, expend your time and energy. Yes, quiet quit all the way through the end. But for all you can do, hang on to your job. But why? Why is it difficult? It's not just because you got fired. It's usually because the reasons why you got fired, downturn in the economy, a downsizing of the company, the loss of interest or the value in the kind of things, the skill set that you do, mean that you are not as valuable, not only to your current company, but also to any prospective employer. It's much easier to find a job when you already have that kind of job, and it makes sense when you think about it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, gaps in jobs, that's a horrible thing, and I just don't want any gaps, so that must be one of the reasons. But no, Since the pandemic and in the recent downturn of layoffs and the impending recession, gaps in our employment are not nearly the negative hit or the red flag to HR departments as they were 10 years ago. In fact, today, with a shrinking workforce, those who are participating in the workforce, people are desperate to have those of you who have been out of the workforce, maybe dealing with children, maybe dealing with care for a loved one, a parent, or maybe pursuing education, a second career type of approach. They want you back. And when you look at them and say, as long as you can give a reason that you were doing something valuable with transferable skills that you will bring to the new job, they want to hire you, and gaps in our employment history no longer matter as the red flag that they once were. Now, the next thing that people struggle with is, well, I don't want to change jobs too often because that'll be a red flag too, right? Wrong. The average millennial will work 12 to 13 jobs over their work life of 30 to 35 years. You're smart enough, do the math. Divide 30 or 35 by 12 or 13. What do you come up with? Between 2 and 3 years at any given job. Yes, the younger you are, the more the turnover happens because you're still building experience, and yeah, you're really expendable. And the older you get within the workforce and the more responsibility you take, the longer you take at a job. So average it out every 2 to 3 years. Not only will you make between 20 and 40% more over your entire work life if you change your job every 2 to 3 years, but you'll also show that you have the ability to adapt and grow in new opportunities. And in today's job market, there are fewer and fewer people staying at a job for 5 years or more, which means that the new norm is to live at a job, to work at a job for 2 to 3 years, show success in that job, and then find another job that leverages that success for a new opportunity. More money, more responsibility, a better title. Okay, that brings us to the next component of adding value in your job search, and that is transferable skills. That is, it's not just your education, your major or your minor, or the skills that you used at one job, but how can the skills that you have acquired and built up a capacity for in one role through education, certification, or work experience, or real life experience that you can use that will transfer to a new field or a new area or a new company that may not line up exactly with your current role or the role you just got fired from. Transferable skills are the new black. Transferable skills are the new, even in the age of AI, you think, I don't know how to program, I don't know how to data program or data manage, I don't know how to create an app, what am I supposed to do? Even those hard skill jobs with AI looming require soft skill personnel, management, and engineers, yes, AI managers who are smart enough through real life experience about what's going to make people happy, how to market, how to edit. Editing doesn't mean simply finding punctuation and grammar errors. Editing means you're able to make things better. Editing is a form of engineering, which is why my title on LinkedIn is Communications Engineer. Even though I do a lot of editing, all that means is to elevate and improve what's available and to utilize, to leverage, to aggregate. See how you throw all those buzzwords in there? All the things that can make you more valuable to somebody that can use ChatGPT or Bard, but they don't know what to do with it or whether or not it's good. That's a transferable skill. And when you can add transferable skills to your resume, you're going to be a winner in today's job market. I discovered the importance of transferable skills in my work career when I transitioned out of higher education predominantly into the nonprofit world and fundraising and development. Within the first few years of my very first experience, I used my communications and writing and presentation skills and my ability to engage in persuasive communication to my advantage. And I doubled the annual budget of the small nonprofit I was hired to work with from $400,000 to $800,000. Now in the big world of $100 million nonprofits, that doesn't mean anything. But to double the budget, annual budget of a nonprofit within 2 years from $400,000 to $800,000 shows the value of transferable skills, how they can be applied, even though I had zero, nil, none, nunca experience in development or fundraising at the time. When it comes to education, that is a big plus, and employers often look to it because most of the people doing the hiring today hold bachelor's degrees, they hold education degrees. So yes, they're going to hire people who are like them. And even though everybody's raging about how bricks and mortar schools and universities and colleges are for everyone, the majority of people hired for those higher paying and stable jobs are people who have demonstrated they can do something difficult, a degree, a bachelor's degree, and finish it. the one component of finishing a degree, any degree, high school diploma, associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a graduate degree of any kind, is that you have demonstrated to someone that you can not only do something difficult, but you can complete it. The number one thing employers are looking for in someone like you is, if I give you a job, can you finish it successfully? What you're getting a degree shows is that you can do something difficult and finish it. And even the Bureau of Labor Statistics wants to make this point, and it reminds us every year in dealing with their survey and their employment notions that education pays. That's the title they give to their annual report about how much you'll get paid, what's your unemployment rate. And if you want to be more employable than anybody else in today's economy, get a bachelor's degree, because your average unemployment rate will be lower than the unemployment rate of the general population. And with a bachelor's degree, you'll make more per week, per working life, than people who don't have a bachelor's degree. It's that simple. It's that straightforward. And even if your HR department is run by a bunch of high school dropout renegades, the chances are that in today's job market, you'll still get a better chance at a better job for better money if you have a college degree. Why? Because education still pays. And getting ready to get fired, even before you even have a hint that maybe there's a downsizing or a firing coming, will probably make you, it will definitely make you more valuable to your current employer. It will become obvious as you update your resume, as you make yourself more comfortable in your financial situation, as you become more aware of your skills, your transferable skills. Those will become more aware to your employer. You'll drop them in conversations. You'll hear about something and say, hey, I can do that. I've got some experience with that. You'll be trusted and given more opportunity. And when you complete it successfully, you'll be the go-to person. That is, even getting ready to get fired will make you more valuable at your current job. And when you do get fired, it's a time to be creative. But being creative when we're fired and discouraged and broken like that is one of the most difficult things in the human experience. But it's the exact thing that you need in order to get yourself, not out of being fired, but get yourself into a new opportunity. That means when you look at your resume, never lie. Never add things or pad things that are unnecessary. Never create things out of nothing because, well, they'll never find out. Somehow they always find out. But the things that are there, reword them, rework them, and ask yourself, was this something I was responsible for? If so, say I was responsible for this. Don't just say I did this X project, but rather say I was in charge of this, or I was one of the leads in this, or my role in this was X in the X project. That is, be as specific as you can to give yourself a fair shot at being seen, because remember, they don't know the inner workings of your past job. They don't know the power dynamics. They don't know that you were depended upon for everything that made a project successful. That's up to you then to make that explicit as you go through your resume and as you are creative. Creative without lying, that's the challenge. Hey, and the last thing is, don't panic. Yeah, it's like telling somebody who has anxiety just to calm down. 0% success rate, I get it. But not panicking means that you actually have a plan, a way to work forward, and you work your plan your work your plan. You know what the old timers say, and it still works when you're looking for work today. Find the opportunities where they are. Find the people in your field and what they're doing. Find those connections, begin to network, revise your resume, and get yourself ready. That also means doing things like practicing your interviews or that first phone call that you're going to get from somebody. One time I got a phone call from someone and they said the name of the company so fast I didn't recognize who they were, but I had applied to like 10 companies in the past week. So I had to bluff my way through the first 10 minutes until they repeated the name of the company. And then on my computer I was able to find out my application, and then I was able to give very direct answers to the questions they were asking. Whew, that was a close one. And by the way, I got that job. Address your resume now as you're working, as you're adding, as it's fresh, and begin networking now and saving now, because the likelihood statistically of you getting fired over your work career, it's actually going up every day. Yeah, so get yourself ready to get fired, and you might find, even though you never get fired, that you're better off than most of the people you've met in the workforce. Hey, and thanks for being part of the Do-Over Show. Please, could you tap the like button? Because it really helps. And while you're down there, how about you subscribe and ring the notifications bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad you found me and I found you. Thanks.